The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is one of my favorite games ever made. This is for a variety of reasons, including having some of the best puzzles, most interesting characters, and in my opinion, the best combat in the entire series. Before this game, all you could really do was slash your sword. But now with the hidden skills of the hero's shade, you know the ending blow, the shield attack, the back slice, the mortal draw, the helm splitter, the jump strike, and the great spin. So knowing all these techniques, it definitely improves what we're talking about today, the bosses. I will be ranking all 12 bosses in this game from worst to best in my opinion. Do not get mad, please. It's my opinion. You can have your opinion. Write your opinion in the comment down below. I will probably not read it, but you can write it anyways. Yeah, by the way, I said 12 bosses. Every stage of the final battle I am counting as a different boss, because they are very different from one another. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 12, Horseback Ganondorf. This is the worst boss in the entire series. The goal of this fight is simply to get behind him. Get Zelda to shoot an arrow of light at him by locking onto him, and then hitting him with your sword. The problem is he's behind you 99% of the time, and because his horse is faster than yours, no matter what you do, he will hit you off your horse. You'll get back on, he'll hit you off your horse, you'll get back on, over and over and over and over until you get lucky once, and then he'll hit you over and over and over and over. There are two ways to beat this boss. The conventional way, by fighting him, or downloading the code onto your computer and removing him from existence. One is significantly easier, and it's not the former. Number 11, Moorefield. This boss fight lands so low on the list just because it's kind of boring. This fight is split up into two separate phases. In the first phase, you fight him exactly like you fight Morpha from Ocarina of Time, except it's way easier because he never goes underwater. Simple. Equip the hook shot, lock on, and repeatedly press B until you win. In the second phase, he becomes a giant eel, and I think this is why I don't like this fight. I expected it to have some semblance of a challenge to it, but it doesn't. He just swims around. He doesn't attack you at all. Running into him does absolutely nothing. The only way you'll take damage during this fight is if he bites you. But he doesn't try at all. He just swims, hookshot onto his back, and stab him in the eye. That's this whole fight. It's still significantly better than the horseback fight against Ganondorf, because this one wasn't annoying, and at least it looked cool. Number 10, Daya Baba. At this point in the list, we'll see a serious jump in quality. I love this boss fight. The mechanic has never been used in a Zelda game before because it uses a completely new item, the Gale Boomerang. In the first phase, it's quite simple. All you have to do is take the little bombs and use the boomerang to fling them into the mouths of either of the two parasites. But this phase lasts about 5 seconds. before the ugliest creature in the entire series comes out of the swamp.
Uh-oh, Shrek, off to the evil bog.
Now the two smaller heads on the sides become way more aggressive, chomping at you almost constantly. And now, instead of simply having to get a bomb off of a lily pad, Ook the baboon, the mini-boss from the same dungeon, swings in and you have to grab it out of his legs, which is significantly harder because he is sliding around on a zipline, making it really hard to lock onto him. You make the two heads on the sides eat a bomb, and then smack the main one in the side of the head with a bomb. It will fall down on the ground, letting you hit its eye. A simple concept, executed quite well. And that's exactly what a first boss should be. Number 9, Zelda herself. Possessed by pure evil, she uses almost identical tactics to Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, but adding in a couple new attacks. The main way you fight her is by reflecting these lightning balls she shoots at you back at her. And then, she hits it back, you hit it back, it's ping pong with a deadly ball of light. It's actually pretty fun. Controversial opinion, I actually think it's better than the fight against Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. Fight me. Number 8, Ganon. This fight isn't bad, it's just disappointing. Being the first fight you have against the King of Evil, I would have expected something significantly better than the worst boss fight that uses the bow and arrow. He goes inside of a portal, pops out of another one, you shoot him with an arrow, and then you hit him in the stomach. This fight kind of reminds me of the part in the boss fight against that big fish from Resident Evil 4, where he just pops out at you from one direction. Kind of startles you, and then you just shoot him with a harpoon. In the rest of the fight, you also have to steer around a boat, and it's quite a spectacle because of how giant the creature... Wait a second, I should just do a Resident Evil 4 boss ranking. I have to write this down 1 second. What was I gonna say here? Okay, where was I? This concept would have been completely fine for an earlier boss, but not the second part of the final fight. Number 7, Fireus. Another boss fight with a simple concept executed very well. This fight is just really fun. Taking him down is split up into 2 separate parts for the 2 items you acquire in the area. The first one being the bow and arrow. Shoot the glowing mark on his forehead to stun him. If you're playing on the Wii, this is easier said than done, because the sensor on the controller doesn't work 60% of the time. It's not that annoying when you have to hit a still target, but when your target is a giant flaming Goron running at you at 20 miles per hour, it's kind of important to be quick. Once you do land a shot, you can go behind him and grab onto one of the chains that was tying him down before the fight. You're going to want to use the iron boots for this, so you don't get dragged away. Just tug on the chain and he'll fall right over, letting you hit the jewel with your sword. Rinse and repeat until the fight is won. Number 6, Goma. By the way, quick arachnophobia warning. If its design doesn't freak you out, its scurrying around the ceilings sure will. Well, Goma sure got an upgrade. The fight in Ocarina of Time, which could be beaten in about seconds, became one of the best bosses in Twilight Princess. It has 2 main methods of attack, spewing out little baby spiders and shooting a laser beam. Similar to Fireus, this fight plays out in 2 separate sections, the first simply being hitting its eye with your bow and arrow. But you have to make sure that you shoot the arrow when it's under one of the beams of light, so when it falls, you can use the Dominion Rod, the item of the dungeon, to make a giant statue squash it. Repeat this a couple of times, and you've beaten the Never mind! Now he's tiny and has a ton of little and in 3 seconds the fight is over. There's no point of a second phase at all. Still a great boss though. Number 5, Argorok. It's a dragon, enough said. Okay. But actually, Argorok is not only a dragon boss battle, it's a dragon boss battle that isn't garbage. I'm looking at you, ancient Wyvern from Dark Souls 2. Yes, this is a call-out. In his first phase, he'll just fly around the arena and swoop down at random. He'll then stop long enough for some reason for you to claw shot onto his tail. Once you're on the tail, you're going to want to drag him down onto the ground. This is very simple. Just put on the iron boots. Every time he lands on the ground, a piece of his armor will break off, eventually revealing that he has a weak point on his back. Once all of his armor is gone, he'll fly way up in the air. You're going to want to claw shot onto one of the 4 pillars surrounding the arena and get all the way to the top, and then start claw shotting across these weird little onion spinny things. Okay. Get behind him, claw shot onto his back, and bring him to the ground like you're playing Shadow of the Colossus. There's one big problem now. Being hit by his flames is almost as inevitable as me messing up my lines in one of these dang it. It's very cliche. Where was I here? In one of these scripted videos. And every time you hit him with your sword, he gets smarter and smarter, changing the direction of the flame, stopping and starting the flame, all kinds of stuff. It is a good boss. Number 4, Blizzetta. Considering how nice of a character Yetta was, I really didn't expect her to do this. Okay, thanks for the nightmare fuel. Blizzetta is basically a giant block of ice. All she does in this phase is bounce off the walls, and all you have to do is just keep hitting her with the ball and chain. I was really scared at the end of this phase that this was the entire boss, but no. Blizzetta then cases herself in an ice-structured thing with the ability to float, and surrounds herself with pillars. And when that happens, the best boss battle music in the whole game starts playing. Her main form of attack in this phase is trying to impale you with these giant pillars. She'll drop all of them out of the sky in a straight line at first, and then next drop down with all the pillars herself. The more pillars you break in the first attack, the easier it is to hit her. But if you only break 1 or 2, it can be really hard. Every time you hit the main body, all of these pillars regenerate. Hit the main body 3 times, and you win the battle. And my choice for the third best boss in Twilight Princess is the game's final battle, Dark Lord Ganondorf. Unlike the other final battles in Zelda games where the boss has some kind of magic, this fight is a pure 1v1, no holds barred sword fight against the King of Evil. And that's pretty awesome. If you fight him like a Dark Knight, that is. Just fighting him normally. Guys, just fight the boss. You can cheese it really easy, I know, but fight the boss and it is one of the best bosses. Originally in the script, this was number 1, but it's just way too easy to cheese the fight. His forms of attacks are just sword attacks. You fight him like you're actually fighting someone with a sword attacks, with a sword attack, whatever. If you fight someone like you're fighting him with a thing, it's a good fight. If you jump back and just wait to clash swords with him, on the other hand, it's really boring. And all the footage of this fight I could find on YouTube, they used this technique. I was originally going to put this fight at number 1, but it's too easy to cheese. It would be the best fight in the entire series, Nintendo, if you did not let us cheese it. Come on, Nintendo. Number 2, Stalin. You are fighting a giant skeleton inside of a sand pit. To combat him, you have to use the best item in the entire game, the spinner, to bounce off the rims of the arena, dodge these weird dead skeleton people, and hit him in the spine. I'm pretty sure someone at the Nintendo office was just kind of playing with a Beyblade, and they thought, hey, we could make a boss battle out of this. And they did, and it's one of the funnest things ever. Star-Lord in this phase poses very minimal threat. Actually, practically none. But then again, the 100,000 point counter in a pinball machine doesn't either, but you want to hit it. I think the thing I really enjoy about this phase of the fight is just the momentum. It's just so quick and so ridiculous, and kind of borderline stupid, but I love it anyways. Just bouncing around at the speed of sound. Yeah, it's really fun, but sadly, 3 hits and he's dead. Just kidding, remember how I said the first phase? Well, now he's a skull. You have to climb up the center wall with your spinner, and switch to the other side whenever a hazard approaches. The first time you hit him, the only hazard is him shooting bad breath? It's not really fire, it's like, whatever. Jump off of a wall, jump onto another wall, jump onto his face, he falls on the ground, and you hit him in the spiky thing a couple times. The second and third time, you don't only have to worry about his bad breath, but also these stupid spiky things that cross the arena constantly. This increases the difficulty of the fight, not necessarily making it more fun, but I like hard games, so yeah, it's pretty good. Overall, an awesome boss fight. The second phase isn't quite as fun as the first phase, but it's still really good. Nintendo, make a pinball game out of this. You can make a pinball game out of this. You will be rich. Make a pinball. And number 1, Zant. Finally, we get to take this creep down. I don't really want to go in depth on his backstory, but to put it simply, he killed basically everyone you care about. He also stuck a sword into a certain skeleton that made one of the best bosses in the game. Don't know if we talked about that guy about exactly 20 seconds ago. Zant has 6 different phases. In each phase, he changes the arena around him, and requires a different technique and item to defeat him. In the first phase, you're transported to Daya Baba's swamp, and you're required to use that item in the dungeon, the Gale Boomerang, to defeat him. In the second phase, you're transported to the arena of the mini-boss fight from the Goron Mines. In this fight, he'll stomp down on the arena, making it really easy to slide off unless you're wearing the iron boots. Just trying to run up to him and hit him doesn't work because he'll teleport away seconds before you can. You have to stay around the center, equipping the iron boots when necessary, and waiting until after he shoots these magic balls to hit him. In the third phase, you're transported to Moorefield's arena, and a giant version of Zant's helmet will come out of the sand. It's full of water, so you'll need to equip the Zora outfit to breathe, and to stay on the bottom, you'll need the iron boots again. The tongue piece opens up to reveal regular-sized Zant inside of the mask. He'll shoot more of those magic pellets, and you'll have to grab him out of the helmet with the hookshot, and then attack him with your sword. After you do that, instead of one helmet appearing at the center, 4 separate helmets will appear around you. The real Zant is only in one. He'll shoot those magic pellets again, you'll probably get hit for not looking in the right mask, claw shot him, grab him, slash him with your sword. In the worst phase, you're transported to the arena of the Donkey Kong Reject, Ook the Baboon, and you have to smack your head into a pillar. I think the only reason I don't like this phase is because it replaced a phase that would use the spinner, which would have been way more awesome. In the 5th phase, you're transported to Blazetta's arena. Zant becomes about 20 times bigger, flies up in the air, and tries to crush you, just like the boss. When he lands on the ground, target one of his feet and hit one of them with the ball and chain, which makes him shrink down for some strange reason. Then keep hitting tiny Zant. I forgot to mention how good the music is in this phase. Koji Kondo, you are a genius. In the 6th and final phase, you are transported in front of Hyrule Castle. Instead of using any kind of magic, he pulls out sabers. There's no gimmick to the fight, it's just a pure sword fight, similar to Ganondorf. The difference between this fight and Ganondorf's is this guy has absolutely no idea what he's doing and has probably never picked up a sword in his entire life, which is his greatest strength and his downfall. He's insanely unpredictable because he has no stance or patterns or anything. He just flails his arms and spins around like a Beyblade. And then add his ability to teleport. Thing is, for the same reason, he can't block or parry any of your attacks and is just kind of a complete doofus. Up to this point, he was one of the most serious characters in the entire game, until right before this fight where he shows off his true insane colors. This is my favorite fight in the entire game for multiple reasons. First of all, it lets you use your entire arsenal in a singular battle. Secondly, it's one of the only boss battles to have any kind of build-up. And third of all, it's just plain fun. What did you think of the list? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm almost right? None of you do. Please argue in the comments section. It's very fun. It makes it a lot better to read.